Added a little bit, 99 on.
All right. welcome back to Baseball Scoops, your one-stop scoop shop for all your baseball needs. Big domino fell. That's kind of what this is going to be centralized, and it's going to be more of like an AL East type of breakdown episode. You name it, it's what we're working with. Because the big domino fell, and it was Dylan Cease, and 7 years, 210 million. We did touch on it on the Pesky podcast. Definitely go check that out. Did a little bit of hot stove, a little MLB, Sonny Gray talk. You'll get a little bit more of that here too, but we're going to talk about the AL East kind of as a whole because it was kind of a busy type of week for the AL East in a way. So let's break it down. Dylan Cease, 7 years, 210 million. I love it. I love it for the Blue Jays. I do. I think it's, they saw what they did. They came ever so close. And to be fair, they got to the World Series really not on necessarily the backs of their pitching. Their pitching wasn't bad. I thought it was serviceable. I thought it was good. Like, you got good outings out of Gosman. Trey Savage was really good. But after that, it was kind of not up in the air, but it was a little up in the air. Like, you didn't feel super, super confident. I think Shane Bieber was really good too. We'll kind of dive into all this, but I do think getting Dylan Cease kind of just shows that this Blue Jays ownership, like, this is their window again. Like I've said it plenty of times when talking about the Blue Jays, but that's a team that didn't win a playoff game in the Vladdy Guerrero Jr. era until this year, and you didn't just get a playoff wins and playoff success. You got the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. breakout. And I think there's a lot to love here, right? Like the Toronto Blue Jays, their offense is dynamite. There's so many different ways they can beat you, whether it's power, they make really good contact, they put the ball in play, and they got numerous guys they can count on, right? But they make a statement because they know they needed pitching. I think it speaks volumes. Shane Bieber opted in. He could have got probably way more money on the open market, even the QO, but he took the option. It seems like he wants to be there and maybe wants to finish what he started, right? And then you got an outsider like Dylan Cease. Like Dylan Cease, I thought he pitched pretty well in the playoffs. We're going to get to him metrically here in a second, but he got to watch this run from afar, right? And it puts him in pretty good success to really contend for World Series. Because let's just face it, the entire American League is busted wide open. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I don't think there's a team that you could say, oh, yeah, that's the team I think that's going to be the favorite. Like, for whatever reason, they're going to put the Yankees as the favorite. I don't know why, but they're going to. I'm not saying that as a Red Sox fan. I'm just saying that in general because they do this every year where the Yankees are the favorite, and I just can't figure out why. Because, again, their roster's good, but to me, they haven't accomplished anything to be like, oh, yeah, that's the favorite in the American League. But the Blue Jays, I mean, they defied everybody's expectations, including myself. I didn't see this team definitely winning the division, let alone representing the American League in the World Series. But they did it. But they needed pitching, right? And I think this team is insanely deep now in the rotation. I think you can make a really good, compelling case that they have one of the best put together rotations in the American League. I know when you go from projected WAR, Rob himself even said it, the Boston Red Sox have the second best projected FWAR of any rotation in baseball. But I think when you look at it from a pure like stuff standpoint, I think the Blue Jays might have a little bit of a step on them in terms of just more well-roundedness, in my opinion. You'll have Kevin Gosman at the top, Trey Savage. You'll have Dylan Cease, and then you have Shane Bieber and Jose Barrios, which Barrios, he didn't really give them anything really in the playoffs. He had a really tough year. But I do think that this Blue Jays rotation is primed to put them in good success. Like, you get to the playoffs, I mean, that's you have a very good rotation going into the playoffs. Like that's what you're really looking at because this team should be a poised contender for a while. Like their window's open. I think they got a good taste of winning success, and they're going to utilize that success. But I think Dylan Cease is a very good pitcher. I think he's better than what the metrics said about him. Tough year, very up and down. He had a 4.55 ERA. That's not great. A 1.33 WHIP, which is a massive increase from the year prior, where he had a 107 WHIP. Like Dylan Cease, he did have his struggles. Command was an issue. The walk rate, 20th percentile, not ideal. You really look, that's a pretty big increase from a year ago where he was only at 8.5. So you got a 1.3% increase for walk rate. Not ideal, especially after he lowered it where he was in the 10% range in 2022 and 2023. But you do look like at his expected metrics. Now, I know people are going to say the expected metrics, but you sometimes have to look at it because it does paint a picture. It does tell you something. Like there is value there. There is. And I think with Dylan Cease, there particularly is. And I do think that there is something to be said about that. Like his expected ERA was a 3.46. His overall ERA was a 4.55. But there is much, much more to like about Dylan Cease on the surface because he really was better than what it said. Like you look at his FIP. His FIP was a 3.56. Basically a whole run lower than what his ERA actually was. Again, you don't love the walks, but there's also a lot to love about his game. I do want to talk about his BABIP was high, a 320 BABIP. You do look at the Padres from a fielding standpoint, little bit different because I don't think the Blue Jays or the Padres were a very strong defensive team. Like you look at their fielding percentage and Padres, where are the Padres? The Padres are still in ninth. So, I mean, there's a lot of different factors that can go to the BABIP thing. I do want to look at the defense a little bit just in that regard. But looking at Dylan Cease, there's a ton. I mean, you look, he's a guy who led the league in K per 9, so they're getting a good strikeout guy. This is a Blue Jays staff that finished with the 6th most strikeouts during the regular season, and they had the most strikeouts in the postseason. And they're adding a guy who literally was 3rd in strikeouts, and he led the league in K per 9, and his strikeout percentage was 3rd best in the league. Lot to like if you're Dylan Cease. Lot to like if you're the San Diego Padres, or not the Padres, the Blue Jays. I don't know why I keep saying the Padres. Padres are a very interesting team. I'm actually willing to monitor, but Dylan Cease I think brings a lot to the table. I do think this is a guy that will eat innings. He will pile up strikeouts. I think if he can just command the zone a little bit better and dial in the walks, he's going to be a phenomenal player. This is a guy who generates a lot of chase. 31%, 80th percentile. His whiff rate was at 33.4%, which is 95th percentile, and his K rate was the 89th percentile. Like there's a lot to like. He's going to have a better defense behind him, so that's enormous. You like to see that, especially if you're Dylan Cease. Blue Jays, very, very, very good. Very good defensive team, always have been. But yeah, you look at, let's see, strikeouts. No, okay, Dylan Cease 6th most strikeouts. Sorry about that. My apologies. But 3rd highest K rate. So you do like to see that. It's, it was an up and down year for him, but I do think he's better than what his metrics actually said, especially across the board with his pitches this year. Like every pitch got slugged harder than it was expected to. When it came to batting average, it was the same way. I think there's just a little bit of unluckiness involved, but I do think he is a very good pitcher that has really, really good secondaries. He had two pitches that he threw above 100 times that had a whiff rate north of 30%. He's really a four-seamer slider type of guy. I mean, those are thrown pretty much neck and neck. And he's unafraid to attack both lefties and righties. Like, he will throw it a very, very close 1 and 2, like, percentage wise as well. Like, his slider was thrown 45% to righties, 37% to lefties. So I mean, he's willing to attack pretty much anybody with those two pitches. 42.8% whiff rate with the slider. So really, really good. That's his like top put away pitch. He will mix in a changeup, obviously his sweeper as well. But yeah, I do think they are getting a very good frontline starter, and it even has ramifications for the future, right? Because you look at Kevin Gausman, he's up for a new contract after this upcoming season. I want to say Jose Barrios as well is almost done, but you look at the front of the rotation, you're going to be looking at Savage, and you're going to be looking at Dylan Cease, and then they'll kind of just try and build around that. Like, do they bring back Shane Bieber on a longer-term deal after this year? What about Kevin Gausman? Does he re-up? We will find out, right? But I do love this for the Blue Jays. Now, what does that mean for Bo Bichette? I don't know. I think regardless, whatever this team does choose to do in regards to Bichette, he should not play shortstop. I said that last night on Pesky Podcast. Do not play him at shortstop. He was horrible at shortstop. Metrically, he was bad. -13 defensive run save, -13 outs above average. Great bat, though. You can put him at second. Andre Jimenez is a great defensive shortstop, a guy that can easily take that position and play it well. And you got to remember, too, the Blue Jays made the World Series without Bo Bichette. Like, they know they can do it without him. He obviously had his moment in Game 7. I think he should return to the Blue Jays. I think he should easily go in and be part of this team and see it through with Vladdy. I think that should be the play. I think that should easily be the move for this franchise. Because it's hard to – it'd be weird to see him in a different uniform, but I think it's very possible that it happens. I think they're going to look at bullpen arms. I do think that's a team that does need some more back of the bullpen insurance. I thought Seranthony Dominguez was a great addition, but I think they need a little bit more behind Jeff Hoffman. I really do. But Jeff Hoffman's going to be really good for them. He's going to come through, bolster the back end of it, and let the offense cook. I think this team is very deep. I think they're very well-rounded. I think there's a lot of different guys that can contribute, and that's what you want on a contending team, and that's exactly what they do. But what does that do for the rest of the American League, right? So I'm going to shift to the Red Sox now. You're going to get my Red Sox rant. They go out and they trade for Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray's another one. He's like a Dylan Cease. He was better than what the metrics suggested, right? It's a guy who had a 4.28 ERA, but he had a 3.39 FIP. This is a guy who had a really good ERA the year before. I mean, you look at the Cardinals, that team is just a mess. That team is not very good. They struggled defensively. They struggled pitching. They can't hit. Sonny Gray does do a lot of things that the Red Sox covet, right? I do think that's part of it. You look at exactly why they wanted Garrett Crochet. They didn't want to go the extra year for Max Fried, so they go get Garrett Crochet. But what does Garrett Crochet have? He has a lot of things. He's got great command and doesn't walk guys. He packs mean velocity with his fastball. He generates a lot of swing and miss. He led the league in strikeouts. Like, Garrett Crochet is the perfect specimen. And you see, too, with these other guys in the Red Sox pipeline, right? Like Connolly Early. Really good swing and miss ability. Good whiff rates. Good chase rates. Like, good strikeouts. Like, that's what he does. You look at Peyton Tolley. If he can develop a secondary pitch that he trusts, great fastball velocity, good swing and miss ability. Like, there are those things to it. And Sonny Gray has that. He has good swing and miss ability. His walk rate, he's got great command. That's a player they covet. And that's a guy that's going to eat innings. He's going to go out there and take the ball every fifth day. Like, the way I viewed it is that's a Lucas Giolito replacement, right? He's got more upside than Lucas Giolito. I like Giolito. I like what he did. His ERA was good. His FIP was higher than his ERA. So he was getting pretty lucky, where it was a little bit of the opposite for a guy like Sonny Gray. And now there's another way you could look at it. The Red Sox were – they're talking about this number 2 starter, right? Is that the guy they envision? I think maybe to start the year, and this is what I said on Pesky, to start the year, I don't think that's a bad idea. Like, you can go into the year with your 1, 2, 3 being Crochet, Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, and then let the other dominoes fall. And I know Breslow's been talking like he feels good about starters 3 through 10. I mean, is this the guy they envision as your stopgap, as your bridge to whatever's, if these guys truly develop more and more? There is that notion, right? There's got to be. I think we as Red Sox Nation, we were all expecting Freddie Peralta, a Joe Ryan, a really big name. Not to say Sonny Gray is not a big name, but we were expecting somebody of that tier. Now, Sonny Gray is still a good pitcher, in my opinion. I think he profiles more as a number 3, maybe a number 4, far less than a 2. But this is the world we live in right now. And I mean, the Red Sox did upgrade. Like you did get better. Like, you have better pitchability in your rotation, and it's for 1 year. So you're not hooked to Sonny Gray for 5 years, right? What does that now mean for the Red Sox? Because you are now the Blue Jays aren't slowing down. This is not a team that just said, "Oh, we made it cool," and they're just going to dwindle down. Like, no, the Blue Jays are going for it. The Blue Jays are going to be very, very competitive, and they're viewing this as their window, and they're going to attack it hard. As long as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is playing at a very high elite level, they're going to go for it, and that's pretty much what the Dylan Cease move does. But what does that mean for the Red Sox? Well, to combat pitching, you need hitting. And it now seems like the Red Sox are going down this path of they are going to add one of the 2 big name bats, Bregman, Alonso, Schwarber. I don't view Real Muto. His name was in there, but I don't view him as like this big bat. I think he would be good catching depth. I think he'd be a guy that would come in. He'd be able to give Narvaez a break. He would be a very reliable option. But I don't view that as like a big bat. Like, they're big bats. Like, I'm sorry. It's down to Schwarber. It's down to Alonso. Like, those are the 2. If you have to pivot afterwards, then that's a different conversation. I think this whole offseason, I said it on Pesky, I'll say it here. I think the entire offseason hinges on an Alex Bregman return. Because if you bring back Bregman, you got to bring in also somebody else. But if you don't bring in Bregman, now you got to bring in 2 pieces. And I'm going to be a very insufferable human being if Bregman doesn't come back, because you basically went ahead and traded Rafael Devers for no reason other than to save money. And if you're not going to spend that money and sink it back into the team, then what are we doing? I think the Red Sox are in the right place. I think the Red Sox did some good upgrades, but I'm curious what they do for this bat. Either way, you need one. You do. You need home run ability. You need some pop. You need some power. Your power disappeared after you traded Rafael Devers. And to combat this and to combat that type of offense for the Blue Jays, we saw what they can do. And again, some pretty good pitching. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Red Sox do, because I do think the Red Sox need another bat. I think they need more than one. Like, we saw what life was like without Rafael Devers, and it was Bregman and Roman. Now you got neither of those 2 in the fold. It's just Roman. You need a legitimate bat, and you need more than one. Like, I don't really envision this team spending the money on 2. I don't. I think they'll bring back Bregman, and then I think you'll get like a second-tier bat. I don't see where they spend, and maybe that's just me being pessimistic about the last couple of years where this team isn't willing to spend the money. I don't think this is a year where they're going to spend on both Alonso and Bregman, or Bregman and Schwarber. I don't see that. I see like one, and then like a Jorge Polanco type, like a second-tier bat, like even maybe a Eugenio Suarez, but I don't really know the fit there because he's regressed defensively at third base. And I don't really know if I mean, what do they do at DH? Like, what do you do at Yoshida? Like, there's so many different options that you can go through. And I'm very hung up on, I really feel like this offseason for the Red Sox hinges on Alex Bregman, because that's when you'll see the shuffling of the deck. That's where you'll see everything kind of roll into place, because then you'll see, okay, this is where they envision Marcelo Meyer playing. Now, who's gonna play what position and where do they go? It would not shock me in the slightest if they lose Bregman and they either put Meyer at third or they bring in Eugenio Suarez, who can at least give you the power, but can also legitimately play third base. And he can even slot at first base too. Do they go get an Okamoto? I really don't want Murakami. I really don't. His swing and miss scares me, and his ability to struggle against velocity. But then he can come in and literally just be a pure mutant at the plate. So you never know. Baseball's a funny sport. It truly is. But winter meetings coming up, we're all hoping that the dominoes start to fall into place. The other team too is the Orioles. I'm going to end with the Yankees because I have a rant. But the Orioles, interesting move. Ryan Helsley, 2 years. Opt out after the first year. I like it. I do. I don't think it solidifies their rotation, even though there was rumors that teams were coveting him to be a starter, but he's going to be their ninth inning option. You look at him, I mean, this guy was a very dynamite closer in 2024. Things kind of started to taper off a little bit in 2025, but he was still good for the Cardinals. He was a disaster for the Mets, and I don't want that to be a negative on him. Players change sceneries and it just doesn't work. Red Sox, for example, Walker Buehler, it just didn't work. It really just didn't. Like, he came in, everything they were telling him, this is a guy that was seeking advice outside the organization. So it's just like, it wasn't working, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it didn't work. It didn't work with the Mets, and it's a shame because he's a good pitcher and he can bring a lot to the table. And I think, he can go there and he can pitch pretty well and maybe get like a lucrative payday even afterwards. But that's a team that needed bullpen arms, right? They needed a closer. They needed a back end option. Their pitching's been a mess. How they stack up, I don't know, but I think that the Taylor Ward acquisition, in a sense, was smart. Now, giving up Grayson Rodriguez for 4 years of team control is a little head scratching. Maybe they didn't feel iffy about the injury history. That's fine. Taylor Ward for 1 year is not bad. Gives them some pop, gives them the home runs, the RBIs. He would have literally led them by a wide mile in home runs and everything if he was literally part of the team last year. That's a team that was literally bottom half of the league in terms of power and home runs and all that stuff. Like, their offense pretty much was a struggle for the first half of the year. I mean, they were playing better baseball once June hit, but yeah, they got better offense, which is good. I think that offense is going to turn around. I think they're going to be well managed with their new manager. I think that's going to play a difference. I mean, that's a team that literally was completely out of sync to start the year. They got to clean up a lot of things. They got to clean up defense. They got to play just a better brand of baseball. And they have way too much young talent to literally not be good. Is this the year we kind of see Adley Rutschman kind of break out of his funk? Is Gunnar Henderson return to an MVP level? Is this the year that Jackson Holiday just takes off and just, becomes this polarizing guy? Let's just remember, Jackson Holiday is still super young. Just let him. There's a lot of pressure on that kid once he came into the league. It's almost unfair, to be honest, but it just is what it is, and it's just part of it. But you got Samuel Basallo, he's locked up. You got Ward, you got Cowser, you got Dylan Beavers. Like, you got a lot of nice young pieces. The manager they brought over came from the Guardians. And you look at the Guardians, that's a team that plays very well fundamental baseball. Good defensively. They make routine plays. They run the bases. Like, that's a good fundamental baseball team. I think the Orioles got a good one. I think they're going to turn it around. I'm very eager to see what they do. They do need to add rotation help. They cannot go into this into the season with the rotation they have put together. It's just not good enough. Rogers, and then it's what, Dean Kramer? Do they bring back Sagano, Zach Eflin? Like, do those guys come back? I don't know. It's hard to say. But the Orioles are going to be an interesting team. I don't know what to make of them, but they're going to be an interesting team. They are. I mean, they ended the season really well, and I think if they started well enough, they would have been in the thick of things for the playoff race. It's a very wide open American League. So I'm curious what the Orioles actually do. Like, is this the year that they do spend money finally? They have to. They have to spend some money. This is a new ownership group. We were maybe promised that things would be different, and they're just not different. It's more of the same. So we will see what happens. I always peg them to be the Framber Valdez favorite because they just need a frontline starter, but could be a Ranger Suarez. That wouldn't be a bad fit. They would just have to clean up their infield defense. He's a very high ground ball guy. Even a Michael King makes sense for them, but are they going to pony up? We'll see. Last but not least, the New York Yankees. They haven't added anybody yet. They're still doing the same stuff, right? You had good. That's nice. You are hoping that they can bring back Cody Bellinger, but that means cap gymnastics. That means trades might have to happen. Like, you got a lot of outfielders. Like, are they going to bring in Spencer Jones? He's got a high strikeout rate, but he's got a lot of power. Do they kind of break away from Jason Dominguez? You just never know. But I'm curious what the Yankees do, because you got the front office saying that they want to shed payroll. You got the Yankees talking about how they need to lower payroll or get under $300 million or whatever the case might be. And then you got front office saying that we didn't even turn a profit. I'm like, you're the New York Yankees. This is very different from when I was a kid. I mean, that was the team that literally spent money on any free agent, brought in any big name. And I'm not saying the Yankees still don't do that, because they've done that. They brought in Max Fried. They brought in Garrett Cole. They gave him the biggest contract ever for a pitcher. They took on the Stanton deal. They've done that part, but it's very strange to see the Yankees coming out and saying that. There's holes they'll have to fill. Their rotation, I mean, they're eventually going to get Cole back, Carlos Rodon as well. Their bullpen needs work. Bednar, he was a great closer for them. He was a very big hit at the deadline. But you're losing Devin Williams, you're losing Luke Weaver. Like, you're going to have to replace those guys. And both guys had tough years in their own way. Devin Williams metrically better than what the ERA suggests. Luke Weaver had a tough year, lost a closer role. Very curious where he goes and what he does. But there's areas that, excuse me, there's areas where the Yankees do need to improve. Whether it's their lineup, whether it's their rotation, their bullpen, it is what it is. Curious what money they spend. Don't think it's going to be on a Kyle Tucker. I don't think they're going to sign a big bat either. And if they do bring back Bellinger, they're going to have to move somebody. I think they got way too many outfielders. Only so many people can DH. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. And I am curious, too, because I just got the report that Cam Schlittler is looking to add I need to find it. It's a changeup, and I'm not sure if it's another pitch. But he is looking to add to his arsenal, and that is actually kind of fascinating for me because I love pitching. He's going to look to add a changeup or a splitter this offseason, which would add to his secondary pitches. So we're just going to do this Cam Schlittler type of thing. And the nice thing about him is he had 4 pitches with a whiff rate above 20%. Leading the way was his four-seamer. Four-seamer was phenomenal. 178 batting average against. Batters are only slugging 281 against. 50 strikeouts. That was his top put-away pitch at 22.5%. So he really does lean with that fastball. He just blows it by you. In terms of velo, if I can find the velocity, I don't think I have it. It's not giving me the velo. It's only giving me – that's another – okay, so it averaged 98 miles an hour. There it is. It's pretty elite. Honestly, he blew by the Red Sox, and great swing and miss ability with that pitch. But he has like other secondaries too, like his curveball. I think that one got knocked around quite a bit. 275 average against, and even his sinker was a 278 average against. Slugging was the same. But to add a changeup or a splitter would be absolutely huge. And we kind of saw like how devastating the splitter was in the playoffs this season. He does have a sweeper, but he doesn't throw it very much. He only threw it 30 times, only targeting righties. So I think he wants a more well-rounded secondary, because you look and the sinker, the cutter, the four-seamer, like all different types of fastballs there. But you look at his breaking stuff, and it was in the 20th percentile, and he has nothing for off speed. So he needs more well-rounded secondaries, which great for him, because if he does get that, I think that really improves his arsenal, because there's really a lot to like about him. I mean, he went 73 innings this year, 84 strikeouts. Does need to dial in the walks. His command was 18 percentile walk rate. But his fastball velo is sky high. So it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot to like about him. I think he showed a lot of promise. I think he's a very good, stable, middle of the rotation, potentially front of the rotation type of guy if he needs to be. He's only 24 years old. So I do think there is a lot to like about a guy such as himself. So I think that's going to be really interesting to monitor for him. So I'm actually really, 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 really excited. I say that as a Red Sox fan that watched him terrorize me. So there is that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got, to be honest. It was just kind of like an AL East rundown. I'm very much looking forward to what the AL East is going to be this year. So there is that. It's going to be busted wide open. I really do think it's going to be busted open. I do think the AL East is going to be an arms race. I really do. And I'm curious to see what these other teams do. I don't think these teams are done by any means whatsoever. I think the Blue Jays are going to add a little bit more. I do think the Red Sox, there's no way they trot out this lineup into the season. The Orioles have a lot of work to do, and I'm very curious to see if the Yankees do go out and spend some money. So there is that. But with that being said, I hope everyone enjoys their week. I hope everybody enjoys the anticipation for the winter meetings. Maybe we'll get another domino that falls before then. Who knows? But until next time,